So you added, yeah.
Yeah, economy, environment, and Africa context.
Well, let's. Pode tirar a fotografia também. I'm talking to him to take picture. Ah, não, o fotógrafo está aí, depois pede-lhe. Ok.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I would like to welcome you for this afternoon press conference, and I would like to welcome Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Economy, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment for this press conference. We are just joined by Ambassador Joseph Asako, Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment, with the Commissioner who heads some of the major activities within the Commission, which deals with agriculture, food security, environment, blue economy, and climate change. So Commissioner will brief us today on 3 topics, which will be covering the issues around the African Common Position to the UN Food Summit, as well as on the issues around blue economy and climate change environment. Now I will hand over the floor to the Commissioner. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I think the press is not gender sensitive. I don't see women among the press here, so I will not say ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for not being gender sensitive. And I also like to take this opportunity of this press conference to wish my dear sisters from the rural area an happy International Day of Rural Women. The department just finished to commemorate this day because you cannot talk of agriculture and forget who is the really labor force in agriculture. 50% of the labor force in agriculture are women. 80% of the food we eat comes from women. And since my election as a commissioner for agriculture and rural development, I took this really as one of the priority to empower women. Because what happens in the fields, you know, on the rural area, on the farms, is unfair. Women has no access to land, women has no access to credit, women have no access to technology. That is why today we had a really high level event to commemorate the International Day of Rural Women. And we had the privilege to have Her Excellency, the President, Saleh Work Zede, the President of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, who had honored us to really open this important event. So we are really happy that ministers, farmers, all of us, we interacted to show the women that we, at the level we are as a decision makers, we care and we are concerned about their empowerment and their livelihoods. So with this, let me start with the assignment they have given me to talk about the African Common Position to the UN Food System. As you are all aware, that the Secretary General of the United Nations, he called for a summit on food system, and this was 2 years ago. And we've been working very, very, very hard in order to, you know, come out with an African common position. And this meeting was held last on the 23rd. The summit took place on the 23rd in New York. Before this summit, we had a pre-summit in Rome in July 27. We had the pre-summit to present our common position. The common position was was really a very consultative issue, and 3 institutions were in front of it to elaborate the common position. We had African Union Commission, NEPAD, and UNECA. So the 3 institutions joined together, and we started working on our common position since 2019. So throughout, we are having consultation with all the stakeholders involved in agriculture. All the ecosystem were invited to give their own position. So it is really demand-driven, because we did a consultation at the regional level, at the national level. Each country, the NEPAD organized consultation so that everybody is on board and we don't take any aspect out. So this common position, our common African common position, came out with 43 game-changing concerning all the ecosystem, all the problem challenges we are encountering in agriculture. So during the 23rd of September, at the margin of the summit, the UN summit, His Excellency President Tshisekedi was tasked by his peer to present the African common position. So we presented the African common position, because we believe our aspiration number 7 of the Agenda 2063 tell us that we African must always speak in one voice in international fora. So we came out with the final version of our African common position. And I would also like to share with you that among the other regions of the continent, it's only Africa that had a common position to present. And we're honored to have to present it during the opening segment of the food summit, meaning that really this common position is the engagement as a political engagement of our leaders. So the African common position was complied by the Commission, as I say, and the African Union Development Agency, which is NEPAD, in collaboration, of course, of the United Economic Commission, with input from various African-based technical institutions. The African common position that was endorsed by the African Union member state on July 15, 2021. Our common position is rich, as I said, with a 40 game-changing solution. But I will just highlight few of them as contained in the statement on the African common position to the UN food system by the chair of the African Union. In order to meet the current and future needs of the continent, Africa plans to double food production and sustainably increase agricultural productivity. We are all aware that our population is going to double by 2050 by 2.4 billion in Africa, and the demand for food will be high. And if we don't address challenges of, like we are saying, we are talking about women labor in agriculture. If we don't address all these challenges, even men also, we have problem of credit, even farmers, we have to be gender balanced. Even our farmers, if we don't give them all the necessary inputs, we will not have productivity. We will not have agricultural productivity. Our production will not be, will not increase, and we risk to continue importing. Africa, with all the potential we have, we cannot believe that this continent is importing $45 billion of food every year. That is quite huge. So we need to change the narrative. We have land, we have water, we have all the ecosystem, the ecosystem to really feed our people and feed the world. Because 60% of the arable land in Africa comes in Africa. All the huge forest, all the water, all the water resources are in Africa. So we have the potentiality to feed Africa. So that is why we really put a lot of input in order to increase the uptake of high-yielding crop variety and animal breeds, and supporting agricultural research to develop climate-smart technology. Because you know that there is a nexus between agriculture, conflict, and climate. All of them are related. So if we can come, our research institution can come out with a clear, smart climate smart agriculture, I think we can benefit a lot. That is why resilience is very important in this sector. Let us create a resilience. Africa must feed itself and rely less on food importation. We shall increase food production while taking measures to protect the environment, because environment is there. I'm just anticipating to protect the environment for current and future generation. During our food summit, we talked about agroecology. And we know that the model of our farming is family farming. And our family farming, indeed, they are doing agroecology. But it is not certified. That is why we want to protect the environment. In order to protect the environment, let us look at the wing of agroecology and start, building capacity to our farmers to really have this agroecology model of farming, so that we can, really protect the environment and ensure that our next generation still have access to land for their livelihood. This is very important. Climate change is real and is negatively impacting food system across Africa. That is a problem. The variability of the climate, of weather in Africa is constant. So we really need to address the issue of, the nexus of environment versus food system. Africa is the least emitter of the greenhouse gas emission, but is the most impacted by the action of others. That is, if we come, I'm just anticipating and covering, in terms of time. If we look at the environmental issue, climate change, for instance, we had Paris Agreement in 2015, and then we agreed that Africa's responsibility is only 4% of emission. So, and there was a call clarion to the industrialized countries to contribute $100 billion yearly to assist African to adapt to the climate variability and the mitigation. Up to today, we are 2026. We are going to COP 20. We are 2021, but we are going to COP 26. Nothing has been done in terms of resource mobilization. They are polluting. We are not having anything. And we need to, because we submitted our NDCs, the National Determined Contribution. We submitted it during the COP Paris Agreement. We submitted. Since we submitted in 2015 to now, most of our countries, they are making some action on adaptation by using their own national budget. 2% of their national budget, instead of them to invest in health, in education, in rural roads, they are investing it in adaptation, because they need to take also their responsibility vis-a-vis the hazards we are having. If you look at the cyclone that was just here in 2019 in Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and Malawi. So nobody came to rescue those countries, because there's no fund, but they took their own national budget, to save life, to save the crops, to save everything. So we are saying that, we are going to COP 26 in Glasgow, and we want this COP to be really a COP of action, concrete issues. And today we have the shock of the pandemic. So in terms of our department, we have what we call the African Union Green Recovery Action Plan. We developed it to respond to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic in terms of environment. So this GRAP, we are calling it GRAP, was assisted by us, by the British government, who have the presidency of COP26. So we work on that with UNECA. We work on this document. The document has been launched. It has been accepted by all the Minister of Environment. So this is our priority. So priority number one is what I said about the common position, the food system. And priority number two in environment, we have this tool, we have this initiative, which is the African Union Green Recovery Action Plan. And this Green Recovery Action Plan has 5 pillars. First, finance mobilization. Because without finance, we cannot achieve, we cannot implement our program. So this is pillar number one, is finance. Pillar number two, it is energy, renewable energy, in order to reduce the emission. So pillar number three, it is a nature-based solution. Nature-based solution. With this, I can tell you that we are really, we did a very good milestone. Yesterday, I received the Deputy Minister, the Vice Minister of the Kingdom of Sweden, that was in Ethiopia, and we signed an MOU of understanding for her to champion, they agreed to champion pillar number three, which is the nature-based solution, which we look at the forest, which we look at the biodiversity, which we look at the water sources, and they are ready to assist us and support us in that pillar number three. Pillar number four, it's a resilient agriculture. To build a resilience in agriculture. Those are adaptation, mitigation programs that's in agriculture. We are also, negotiating with some partners to champion this resilient agriculture in this pillar. And then pillar number pillar number 5 is green cities. It's green city. We are working with the African Development Bank to see how we can assist our member countries to have green cities, in the urban areas. So those are the 5 pillars that we are taking as our agenda in COP26 next month in Glasgow. The COP is starting from the 2nd to the 12th of November in Glasgow, and we are going with this document to really popularize our initiative after COVID and mobilize resources so that we can assist our member states. Another milestone that this department is doing now, it's still on disaster risk reduction. As you know, the extreme weather events is really affecting the continent. And from experience of the cyclone, Idai cyclone, the African Union could not respond due to lack of means or tools to respond. So we negotiated with NATO to assist us in giving us an early warning system so that we can be accurate. So we are doing our how do you call it, solution, a center that we are establishing here in the headquarters. A situation room, situations room. So they have given us a slot here at the old building to put, to build our early warning system so that we can cooperate with the RECs as well as our member country and give them accurate information, weather climate information service. And this was funded by the Italian government. They were the one through the negotiation, the conversation we started with NATO, and NATO, they don't finance, but they can mobilize resources. The Italian, they came forward and they really give us a grant of all the equipment that we are putting in this situation room that we are going to launch in December this year. So to say that we are building our capacity. Another action that the department is doing is the blue economy. The blue economy was a thematic that was not defined in the department. everybody was doing blue economy, and it's a cross-cutting issue. So being cross-cutting issue does not really defining who is the coordinator of this blue economy thematic. So we, with the reform, the ongoing reform that is on, so member states decided to assign or task that blue economy mandate to the department where I am leading as a commissioner. So we immediately, they gave us this mandate. In less than 1 year, we developed this, the African strategy for blue economy. And then we mobilized, we also launched that strategy. It was just before the COVID last year's summit. We launched the blue economy strategy, and we had the privilege to have the Prime Minister of Canada that came on support of our blue economy. We had the Prime Minister of Norway. They were all here with us. We had the Secretary General of the UN and our head of states. All we are all at the we were all at this side event to really launch our blue economy strategy. Now the department, with the reform, we have two directorates: the Directorate of Agriculture and the Rural Development, and we have the Directorate of Blue Economy and the Sustainable Environment. So that this department, we really started working. Yesterday also we signed a memorandum of understanding with the Kingdom still of Sweden to support us in blue economy. As you know, we have our own specialized technical office for animal in Nairobi, AU IBER. And then AU IBER is the one that carries action. They have the mandate of animal health and also fishery. So they are going to work with the Norwegian, Sweden government, and they have already financed, I think it's $1.5 million for the blue economy development on our strategy. I think I will stop from here. Any question, I am open.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for this broad and elaborate briefing. Now, colleagues, Commissioner has touched upon issues around UN food, African composition of UN food system, on disaster issues around disaster risk reduction, on issues around climate change, environment, and blue economy strategy. So now I will give the floor to colleagues who would like to raise any questions, and then please introduce yourself and then your media house.
There is one.
Yeah.
No, I know. I was just telling him that they were.
So, my name is Abdul from another agency. I want to just to ask you, what are the strategies that are put in place and what kind of plan of action to transform Africa's agriculture in terms of reversing these sad situations that you have just described? Too many countries in Africa importing too much of food. This is unacceptable. Another question I want to raise is, when do you find the intersection between agriculture and industry? Because ultimately we need to industrialize Africa, need to industrialize, because there are many people arguing that with agriculture we won't go anywhere with agriculture only. And so can you have your insight?
Yeah, let me take one by one so that I will not lose my rationale. Okay, so thank you very much. That's a very pertinent question. Indeed, we are talking about this common position, but the common position came out with some framework that exists at the Commission. As you know, our mandate is to transform the decision of head of state and government into practical programs and projects. or strategy. So in 2003, our head of state recognized the sector of agriculture as a priority. And they met in Maputo. They met in Maputo, and they came out with a Maputo Declaration. Maputo Declaration had two objectives. Objective number one is really to solve the problem of food security and nutrition in Africa. And the second one is to solve the problem of lack of investment in agriculture sector. Those were the two core mandates that Maputo Declaration had. 10 years after, our head of state and government saw no progress in those two decisions. I mean, the two pillars that they selected to transform agriculture on the continent. So 10 years after, they called upon the Malabo Declaration. So in Malabo Declaration, they were more precise in terms of their commitment. The commitment number one, they still reiterate the commitment of the Maputo Declaration, that agriculture is a priority and we should stand on the Maputo Declaration, and they strengthen the Maputo Declaration. Commitment number two, it is the financing. You see, they decided 10%, because it was in the Maputo Declaration, 10% of the public expenditure on agriculture, on the budget. But countries don't do it. And then commitment number two, they still reiterated the Maputo, the two issues of Maputo. Commitment number three, they came out with ending hunger. And our ending hunger, they said we should end hunger by 2025. And we have only 4 years. And our own biannual review report tells us in ending hunger, only 4 countries are on track. Because last year, we presented the biannual review report of 2029. We presented it, and we saw that we are 4 years to the 10 years action plan of the African Union for Agenda 2063, and these 10 years, countries are still having issues of hungers. And then the fourth one is ending poverty in Africa. Ending poverty by, doubling, job creation for the youth and all these components. Number 5 is to triple the inter-African trade. Then we didn't have the IFCFTA then, but the head of state were already, committed, on this commitment of doubling the inter-African trade. Number 6, this is a CADEP Malabo Declaration. Number 6, it is the resilience. Build resilience for community because of climate hazard, and build resilience on food production system, because when you have floods, at times you have your rice or banana plantation, and then when you have the flood, it just goes. So they say we should build resilience on the crop production. Number 7 is this mutual accountability. We should account. That's why we have the biannual review report every 2 years. So all these are the commitment. We translated it in the CADEP flagship program. So it is this CADEP flagship program. If member states follow it rightly, they can transform agriculture. The case is Rwanda. Rwanda has been domesticated the CADEP to their national development plan, and it follows everything. It might not give 10% for agriculture, this thing, but at least investment in agriculture is there. Ending hunger effort is there. Nutrition, all these, they are there, so they are on top. The Kingdom of Morocco also, they just joined us. It was the first edition that they joined on the report, and they did very well. And I think the Republic of Ghana and Mali, those are the 4 countries that really perform well. So due to CADEP. So if, in short, to say that if you implement CADEP, you will transform, because this is the tool. I mean, this is the instrument that will make agricultural transformation on the continent. So your question number 2, the intersectoral between agriculture and industry. Of course, agro-industry is very important for us. And we know that 70% of our trade here is agricultural products on the continent. So it is good to industrialize our own product. So for that, the lesson learned from the COVID-19 pandemic, even before COVID-19 pandemic, the department created an initiative to collect herbs. So we call it the CAP, Common African Agriculture Parks. Common Africa Agricultural Parks. So we identify the 5 regions on the continent, and we say, according to your value addition, how do you call it? Your advantage, comparative in French, comparative advantage of your region, your ecosystem, your ecology, the ecological advantage of your region, you have a crop in order to be, the hub of that crop. So with this CAP is just an initiative, but we are already working with the Afrexim Bank to really, make it, a real program of industrialization of agriculture. In the northern region, we say, what is the agroecologic? What is the agroecology? Is more fruits and vegetable. So we say, let them have the hub of fruit and vegetable basket responsibility. We look at West Africa. What is the real very in ecology there? We say, and their staple food. We are mixing with staple food. We say rice. Let them be the hub of rice production in that region. We look at Central Africa, it's cassava. We gave them the hub of cassava. And we looked at a southern region, livestock. So we gave them the livestock. If you see Botswana, South Africa, they are very good in livestock. So we say, let them do this. Here, East Africa, we say maize. Let East Africa, for cereals, maize, let's East Africa. That does not mean, it's just a pilot project. That doesn't mean that other commodities cannot be traded, because we want to have a tool or, a framework whereby we can trade under the RFCFTA. What are we going to trade? So COVID-19 came again to tell us we were right to bring this initiative. The initiative has been approved by our STC. So COVID-19 came to tell us that we need to have our own food sovereignty on the continent. We need to have it. We need to have our food storage on the continent, on the continent, because during COVID-19, the countries in the West Africa that they consume rice every day, they could not have access to our local, market where we buy in Thailand, all these Asian markets, because they too, they ban the importation, the exports, because they wanted to have their reserve food on the continent. So we say we have to do it. So we even called for the ministerial meeting, Minister of Agriculture, during the COVID, and we presented the CAP, and the minister said we really have to go through this industrialization of agriculture in this. So if we implement CAP, this is a mega project, but it's going to transform and it's going to give really privilege, so that we can change amongst ourselves. Instead of us to go to Brazil to go and buy chicken, instead of us to go to Thailand to go and buy rice, let us give the market opportunity to our own citizens. That is CAP. So we have CADEP, and then we have CAP. Yeah. There is Common African Agriculture Park, CAP. Yeah.
Thank you so much. My name is Mr. Agency. My first question is, there are so many challenges that are currently affecting the agricultural productivity and food security in Africa. For instance, locust swarm in East Africa and COVID-19 pandemic and the conflict. How those challenges affects agricultural productivity and food security? Do AU have any member states have the mechanism to mitigate those challenges, to improve their cultural productivity and to improve their food security. Because of those challenges, how many people in Africa currently now needs food assistance, if you have a bigger on that. My second question, you said in in Paris Summit, developed countries pledged to give $100 billion to African countries. Just to be clear on that, none of the pledge has been given, no money has been given by the developing countries. What is the issue? What's the reason behind that? And also in 39th organization, Musafaki Mahamat has said the countries must focus on to project food security. So your commission, what things things done by the commission to build the food security in the country and prevent hunger farming in Africa?
Thank you. The first question is you ask what are we doing to really improve food productivity and food production due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So immediately COVID-19 pandemic arise in was it in March? I think in March 2020, the department call FAO to reflect on the impact of COVID-19, in agriculture. Mostly because of the restriction of our head of state, of our government. This restriction also disrupted the distribution chain of food from the rural area to the urban, because everywhere was closed and people